Hi, I am Evelyn Padrino. Welcome to our session, Optimize Your Investment on Azure and Drive Business Value. Let's get started. It is widely recognized that the primary advantage of operating in the cloud is scalability and innovation. Most successful cloud-first companies have shown that the ability to accelerate growth and drive sustainable innovation to deliver on business goals are the best indicators of a successful digital transformation. In parallel, for most organizations, cost management, cost reductions, and maximizing value from technology investment consistently rank as top priorities because, simply put, everyone needs to do more with less. We understand the barriers that prevent organizations from delivering on these goals. When it comes to cloud investment, a couple key factors tend to prevent successful cloud adoption: loss of financial control and increasing cloud spend. Customers are concerned about actual cost, becoming unpredictable, and worried that they will lose the ability to plan their IT spend without restricting usage or gaining precise knowledge about usage requirements, while enabling the business to deliver on growth and innovation expectations. At the industry level, global cloud spend continues its upward trajectory and is expected to reach near $500 billion this year. Organizations frequently underestimate their cloud spend, thus increasing the downward pressure on IT departments to show positive ROI from their cloud investments. At Microsoft, we are committed to help our customers do more with less. We want you to successfully realize the expected business value of your cloud investments and help you navigate cost management and optimization so that you can reinvest in the technology that will enable your business growth and innovation needs. In this session, we will cover financial considerations to maximize business value from the cloud, key Microsoft guidance, tools, and offers that assist and enhance your cloud adoption journey. And we'll hear from Honeywell on their learnings and best practices to optimize effectively those investments and drive continuous innovation. To begin, I'd like to introduce Thuy Li, General Manager in our Azure Customer Success team, who will discuss the value of implementing a cloud economics mindset as you consider your cloud investment throughout your cloud journey, from migration, modernization, throughout adoption, and towards sustainable innovation. Thuy will also share Microsoft approach, including some key announcements to help you maintain financial control throughout your cloud adoption.
Thank you, Evelyn. As you look towards your cloud adoption journey, it may be overwhelming to consider all the factors for your successful transformation to the cloud. And in today's climate, as Evelyn said, do more with less is spot on. You must invest in people, in process, and technology. The cost of technology is critical to architecting intentionally from day one. That's why we recommend strategizing your approach to cloud cost management in terms of cloud economics. At its core, cloud economics is the study of cloud computing costs and benefits and the economic principles that underpin them. At Microsoft, we integrate cloud economics into the guidance and frameworks designed to help facilitate your successful cloud adoption, depending on your business needs and your cloud journey. Essentially, cloud economics is the detailed technical and financial guidance from Azure experts that help you understand your investment. It explores questions like, what is the return on investment, the ROI, of migrating to the cloud, or even switching current cloud providers? Or what is the total cost of ownership, TCO, of operating in the cloud versus traditional on-premises solutions? As you develop your business case, you will analyze the economic pros and cons to get the detailed understanding of specific costs and savings. The goal is to avoid cloud adoption strategy that will drive up costs or complexity or staffing requirements. Here is a basic process to understand your cloud ROI and TCO. It includes 3 elements: benchmarking, cloud costs, and migration costs. The first one, benchmarking. This calculates the cost of running the current data center. It includes capital costs of equipment and servers, real estate, labor costs, and any other maintenance and operational costs. Second, cloud costs. This estimates the cost of the cloud infrastructure being considered. The key is to look beyond the basic pricing structure and consider ongoing costs of staff, skilling of staff, ongoing systems integration, testing of apps, as well as security and compliance. Yes, these are the core components of FinOps, DevOps, SecOps. These are the principles and the policies. Third, migration costs. This determines the costs to migrate your IT estate to the cloud or to switch cloud providers. These costs should also include labor costs and expenses to migrate and test the applications. Once these hard costs are determined, you can compare the business case of different cloud architectures and scenarios. And in short, you use the cloud to make your IT cost infrastructure more flexible, more resilient to unexpected market changes. You'll also be in a better position to take advantage of new business opportunities quickly. Let's shift from the principles of cloud economics and zero in to one of the critical elements on determining cloud ROI. This is migration costs. IDC research validates that customers are able to gain significant savings when migrating and modernizing their workloads with Azure. In a recent study, IDC calculated that of the surveyed enterprises, they had an average savings of 16% on direct infrastructure-related costs with Azure, saving over $900,000 per year per organization. The study also found that after 3 years, there was an average of 37% savings of operations by moving to and modernizing with Azure. We're always looking for different ways to offer customers deeper cost savings when they migrate workloads to Azure. And one of our strategies is to build in cost savings opportunities right into the tools that help you migrate to the cloud. With some of the savings just shared, you can now reinvest to further your cloud journey. And for many customers, this means getting even savvier with their data. Data, as we all know, is critical to any cloud project. And for many customers, SQL Server is a main component of your IT environment. Therefore, it's important to accurately estimate costs for SQL Server prior to migrating to the cloud. And in particular, I'd like to highlight Azure Migrate, one of our free tool sets to migrate and modernize with Azure. And today, I am happy to announce support for a critical new Azure Migrate feature that integrates the migration and modernization assessment for SQL Server. Customers can now perform at scale, agentless discovery and assessment of SQL Server on Microsoft Hyper-V, on bare metal servers, on IaaS of other public clouds, such as AWS's EC2, of course, in addition to VMware environments. The capability will allow customers to analyze existing configurations, performance, and feature compatibility to help with right-sizing and estimating costs. It will also check readiness and blockers for migrating to Azure SQL Managed Instances, SQL Server on Azure VM, and SQL Server Database. All this information is presented in a single coherent report for easy consumption and decisions. In addition, after you move to Azure, modernization to PaaS will help you achieve even higher ROI and your business outcomes. Now I'm going to invite Shikher to show us how you can use this new service to assess your own SQL projects.
Thank you, Thuy. As Thuy mentioned, migration assessments are crucial as they help you build a high-confidence migration plan. Azure Migrate lets you discover your infra at scale, perform application dependency mapping, and create assessments for migration to Azure Virtual Machine, Azure SQL, Azure App Service, and Azure VMware solution. Additionally, once you have migrated to Azure IaaS, modernization to PaaS will continue the optimization journey towards higher ROI. Azure Migrate has got you covered in either case. Let me show you how. For this demo, I've already completed the unified at-scale discovery for Windows, Linux, and SQL servers and created an Azure SQL assessment. To understand how to do so, please use the link shown in the screen. I can see that we have assessed approximately 100 servers, 300 instances, and 22,000 databases. I can view the readiness for different migration approaches for SQL Server instances and databases, as well as the estimated cost for running those in Azure. Now I can choose to dive deeper into reports targeted at respective SQL deployment targets in Azure, such as Azure SQL Managed Instance, or refer the summarized recommended report. The recommended report indicates the most efficient way of migrating your SQL Server instances to Azure depending upon the migration readiness and the estimated cost, such that no SQL deployments are left behind, even those that haven't been discovered completely. In this case, it is recommending that I migrate all of my SQL Server instances to SQL Server on Azure VM. Now let's look at the details of the assessment for MS SQL Server instance running on Part SQL Server, which represents the data layer for an app I'm interested in migrating. I can see that it is ready for migration to all SQL targets in Azure, namely Azure SQL Managed Instance, Azure SQL Database, and SQL Server on Azure VM. And the recommended target is SQL Server on Azure VM. The recommended configuration includes standard D2 VM for compute standpoint and 2 premium P1s from storage perspective. Additionally, I can go deeper to view the aggregated performance statistics such as allocated cores, CPU utilization, memory in use, etc., and view the storage migration guidance. In this case, I should move the temp data assets into the temp drive and create separate storage pools for log and data assets. I can see that the recommended tool for migration is Azure Data Studio. To identify the configuration and estimated cost of running this workload on Azure SQL MI, I can select the respective report and jump there. Next, I see that DMS 2019 instance is ready to be migrated to Azure SQL MI and SQL Server on Azure VM, but it is conditionally ready for Azure SQL Database. I can see that for migrating to Azure SQL DB, there are some issues that need my attention, but these are non-blocking changes for migration to Azure in general. In this case, if my application doesn't need the service broker, I can disable the same to make it ready for migration to Azure SQL DB, or consider other targets. If I'm interested in a particular Azure target, I can choose to dive deeper into the corresponding report. I can review the cost of migrating to various Azure targets as well. At any moment, I can go to settings and customize the assessment by changing selection for reserve capacity, service tier, etc. to see how the cost varies and choose the combination that works best. Also, I can indicate whether I would bring my own Windows Server or SQL Server license to Azure with Azure Hybrid Benefit. Additionally, I can export assessment for sharing or offline consumption. Back to you, Thuy.
Thank you, Shikher. When you migrate and modernize your workloads with Azure Migrate, you'll be happy to know that we listened and learned from hundreds of customers. Be confident that you're adopting Azure in the most cost-efficient way. Switching topics just a little bit. Leveraging services like Azure Migrate is one way you can achieve cost savings as you adopt the cloud. Another way is to take advantage of the available cost savings offers and benefits to maximize your current workloads on Azure. Today, we are excited to share that Azure Hybrid Benefits is getting even better. We're introducing new benefits that help maximize the value of your existing investment on premises by bringing the value of Azure to where you are. To start, we're enabling customers to use AKS, Azure Container Services, on Windows Server and Azure Stack HCI in their own data centers, or even edge infrastructure at no additional cost if they have Windows Server software assurance or if they have a cloud solution provider subscription. Now, customers can modernize their application to containers and deploy them on Azure or on-prem consistently without paying higher costs to run managed Kubernetes in their own environment. We're also introducing another benefit for the Windows Server Data Center software assurance customers to use Azure Stack HCI, our first-party Arc-enabled infrastructure at no additional costs. With this, customers can modernize their existing data center and edge infrastructure to run their VMs and container-based workloads on modern infrastructure while saving costs. With all of these new additions, Azure Hybrid Benefits continues to enable customers to migrate and modernize faster wherever they are, while significantly reducing costs of running workloads on Azure. While we're on the topic of price benefits, we have even more news to share. Today, for those seeking to achieve significant cost savings once you're committed to running workloads on Azure. Currently, Microsoft has different offers in markets such as reservations, spot VMs, Azure Hybrid Benefits to help our customer realize cost savings with their cloud usage. And we recognize that there's more opportunity to help customers further optimize. And to this end, we're expanding our suite of savings options by adding a new strategic price offering. Today, we are very excited to announce Azure Saving Plans for Compute. This new savings plan will be generally available October 18 and will expand our existing cost savings options. So what is Azure Savings Plan for Compute? Well, at a high level, it is an easy and flexible way to save on compute services compared to as-you-go prices. The savings plan unlocks lower prices on select compute services when you commit to spend a fixed number of hours for 1 or 3 years. As you consider how to maintain financial control over how you run your Azure workloads, this new savings plans should be factored into your cloud investment strategies for several reasons. First, you can save up to 65% as compared to a pay-as-you-go plan on select compute services. The greatest savings does come with a 3-year term. Second, you will also save on compute usage regardless of the region, the instance series, or even the operating system. This means that you can modernize your workload and optimize compute services as your needs change without having to worry about savings plan being impacted. And finally, you save on your terms. You get to choose to pay all upfront or monthly at no additional cost to you. You decide the hourly commitment, the length, the scope of the plan, and in a couple of minutes, we're going to actually see these demos live. Let's look at an example of how this really works with the saving plans. Let's say you purchase a 1-year saving plan for $5 an hour. Saving starts immediately and are automatically applied every hour that you select to use the compute products and services. And if the usage is at or below $5 an hour, you will be billed at the lower price covered by your plan's hourly commitment. Note that you'll still pay $5 for the hour, even if the usage is a little less. Now, if the usage is above $5 an hour, the first $5 of usage is billed at the lower price and covered by your plan's commitment. Any amount above $5 will be billed at the pay-as-you-go price and added to your invoice separately. So at this point, you're wondering, what's new about this pricing plan? Are reserved instances going away? Or how will the two plans work together? Let's compare the purpose of each. Saving plans for compute offers a very flexible savings for dynamic workloads while accommodating for planned or unplanned changes in your environment. Reserved instances offer the greatest cost savings for stable, predictable workloads with no planned changes. And the great news is you can use Azure Saving Plans and reserved instances at the same time. Reserved instances will be applied first because it has more requirements like family size and region. Then, whatever compute isn't covered by reserved instances, these will be eligible for the savings plan. Also, for a limited time, you can trade in your VM, your dedicated host, your app service reservations for Azure Savings Plan for Compute. More information on this process can be found at the Microsoft Docs page. So let's talk about how to get started with the Azure Savings Plan for Compute. Tanuja will walk us through how to access this and use this new savings plan with your own workloads.
Thank you, Thuy. Hello, everyone. My name is Tanuja Shah, and I'm a technical program manager. In order for you to get started with savings plan, you need to be logged into your Azure portal and then select Cost Management from Azure Services. Select your billing scope. Next, you will want to select Savings Plan from the left column, and then you want to add a new savings plan. After you select Add a Plan, you will be prompted to configure the options of your savings plan. First, you want to provide the name for your savings plan. Next, the billing subscription information is required. Then you want to follow that up with identifying the eligible resources for this billing subscription. You have 4 options here. One is shared. Next is a single subscription. Then you have a single resource group. And then you have a management group. Then you need to decide the term length. Do you want to commit for a 3-year or 1 year? Next, you want to add an amount of hourly commitment towards this savings plan. When you click into this box to add an amount, you will see there a recommendation window pops up. These recommendations are based on the last 30 days of your compute usage. It also takes into account existing RIs, and additionally, it identifies the percent potential savings compared to pay-as-you-go and the usage coverage in percent for your compute usage. So as you enter an amount here, you will see the recommendations for your tenant. Next is monthly or upfront billing frequency. Do you want to pay per month or upfront everything? As you choose the monthly one, you will see on the right side of your Azure portal, there are more details identified. You will be seeing your monthly cost, which is $6,000 here, $6,806.52 per month. And that is what you would pay for monthly commitment. When I toggle to all upfront, it will display what I owe overall for 3 years for this amount of commitment, hourly commitment. So that is all you need to configure here. Next, you want to click on Preview and Buy. This is your summary of the configuration for savings plan. One thing I would call out that once you purchase the savings plan, the discount will automatically apply to matching resources, what you defined in the eligible resources section. You don't need to do anything additional. After you have purchased your savings plan and it has been in use for a bit, you may be interested in seeing the usage. In order to see the usage, you want to go back into your portal, log in, and select Cost Management and Billing. Select your billing scope, select the savings plan option from the left column, and select the saving plan that you want to see the usage for. Once the screen populates, you will be presented with the graphics of your usage. Here you have options of seeing your usage for 7 days, for a month, for 3 months, or a custom. This concludes our demo. Thank you for your time, and back to you, Thuy.
Now I'd like to introduce Jimin Li, Partner Group Product Manager, to share some best practices to optimize your cloud investment using Microsoft's existing products and tools.
Thank you, Thuy. We're going to shift gears a bit and discuss implementation and optimization within your Azure workloads. When you properly set up your cloud environment, optimize your budget, and run workloads with an eye for maximizing your costs, you'll set yourself up for success and significant return on your cloud investments. Let's start with landing zone implementation. As described in the Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure, an Azure landing zone is the output of a multi-subscription Azure environment that accounts for scale, security governance, networking, and identity. In short, Azure landing zones are a modular approach to building out your environment based on a common set of design areas that allows you to migrate, modernize, and innovate at scale. One of the most critical landing zone design areas is the Azure Billing and Active Directory tenant. Focusing on this highest level of alignment within any Azure deployment means that you'll set up your cloud environment to support any active Azure subscription offers, and you can use these offers to gain flexible billing options. For many reasons, it's important to implement an Azure landing zone when deploying your workloads within Azure. But from a cost-saving perspective, leveraging a landing zone is critical to get the most out of your investment. Because the Azure landing zone architecture supports subscriptions that exist within one Azure Active Directory, which is Azure AD tenant, that then relocate into the management group hierarchy within that tenant. They can then be managed by the various controls with enterprise scale platforms like Azure Policy and the role-based access control, which is RBAC. They ensure that you are able to realize cost savings once you are ready to implement your workloads within your Azure AD tenant. Now, for those of you that already have Azure workloads up and running, and hopefully with a landing zone implementation, we offer a couple products solely designed to help manage and optimize your cloud budget and workload investments. Microsoft Cost Management allows you to monitor, allocate, and optimize your cloud costs so that you get the most value out of your cloud investment while implementing financial governance in your organization. Let's take a closer look at how to use this service, which is available at no additional cost for your Azure workloads. Here is Antonio to share the key functionalities of Microsoft Cost Management.
Thanks, Jimin. Landing Zone provides governance, and governance provides mechanisms and processes for maintaining control over platforms, applications, and resources in Azure. When you first open Microsoft Cost Management from the Azure portal, you are given the opportunity to select your billing scope. It is here that you can dive deep into your Landing Zone subscription. Let's now look at how to begin managing and optimizing your workloads. First, select the Cost Analysis blade. Here you can slice and dice your Azure spend. Cost Management offers 4 built-in views to help you gain insight into topics relevant to your enterprise. The defaulted view, Accumulated Cost, focuses on the big picture, while the other 3 aim to answer questions specific to your daily activity, services, or your invoice. Enterprises find helpful to flip between actual and amortized cost, which can be done by clicking the down arrow next to the actual cost amount below the top menu. To enrich your existing view, you can also flip between budgets, which can help monitor thresholds. Parameters in cost analysis are highly customizable. You can filter by scope, which allows you to dive deep into different altitudes among your resource hierarchy, date, specific attributes including personalized tags, cadence, whether you would like an accumulated, a monthly, or a daily view, and visual representation, including area, line column, and table charts. A great rule of thumb when customizing your view is to look for down arrows. This indicates further customization is available and will help customers know where to focus when figuring out new opportunities for optimization. Another great feature that helps businesses stay within budget is forecasting. Cost Management looks at usage from January to December to help you predict future spending. Once your view is tuned and ready to go, you can download it, share it, and schedule an export to a storage account. We want our customers to be well informed and to feel confident as they invest in Azure services. Budgets and cost alerts were designed to provide a measure of control that would trigger under specific criteria you select when a budget is created. To create a budget, simply open the Budgets blade and select Add from the top menu. In addition to budgets, I would like to mention that we recently announced the general availability of Cost Details API to enable download of granular cost details. This API, along with cost data exports, enables ingesting raw cost data to build custom reports. To sum up, cost management focuses on visualization, accountability, and optimization to help you understand your Azure spend. Visual dashboards, budgets, alerts, and exports are only just a few of available features in Microsoft Cost Management. Thank you.
Thanks for the demo, Antonio. Microsoft Cost Management is a valuable service for customers to plan for and manage workload budgets. But what do you do throughout the rest of your cloud operations and management? Once you are running workloads in Azure, how do you ensure they remain cost efficient? This is where guidance from the Azure Well-Architected framework comes into play. Cost optimization is one of 5 pillars of the Well-Architected framework. The framework provides prescriptive guidance about designing, building, and optimizing workloads. It also balances trade-offs among the pillars, often where reliability or security requirements could offset cost optimization requirements. We have heard from many of our customers that cost optimization is one of the top IT priorities at their organizations. H&R Block is a good example of how customers can optimize their Azure investment and maximize their usage of Azure services. They are a leader in the ongoing digital transformation of the tax industry, and an important part of their strategy is embracing cloud technologies. H&R Block realized that a direct migration of its on-premises infrastructure and applications without optimizing for a cloud environment would be challenging and inefficient. So the company began a cost optimization initiative throughout its cloud technology infrastructure and within its business culture to implement best practices that are now part of the Azure Well-Architected framework. In short, they focused on adoption of auto-scaling, resource right-sizing, and they used Azure dashboards to visualize resource utilization. Among other practices, they used Azure reserved instances and Azure Hybrid Benefit discounts to help keep costs flat while increasing the compute in the cloud by 30%. H&R Block knew exactly what areas they needed to focus on because they leveraged an important workload optimization service. Azure Advisor is a free digital assistant that provides real-time insight into your existing deployment, helping you optimize and maximize your Azure investment and usage. And this month, we're launching Azure Advisor Score. This will offer you a way to prioritize the most impactful advisor recommendations you can take to optimize your deployments based on the well-architected framework. Advisor displays your category scores and your overall advisor score as percentages. A score of 100% in any category means all your resources follow the best practices. Now, to show us how this Azure service helps you identify opportunities to optimize your deployments on Azure, here is Sven-Erik to give us a quick demo on this new release.
Hi, I'm Sven-Erik Nielsen, and I'm a product manager with Microsoft Azure. Today, I'd like to show you how Azure Advisor can identify and prioritize the specific next steps to maximize your savings on Azure. Azure Advisor is a free service available to all customers. It consolidates all Azure recommendations in a single pane of glass, streamlining your next steps for increasing the cost efficiency, security, reliability, operational excellence, and performance of your solutions. Advisor determines which recommendations are most relevant by looking at the unique usage patterns associated with your workloads. One of the easiest ways to prioritize your cost savings is using Advisor Score, which will be generally available in October 2022. Advisor Score enables you to identify which critical few recommendations will help boost your score the most, as well as your cost efficiency over time. A score of 100% in any category means all of your usage follows Azure's best practices. In this case, only 81% of our usage follows best practice for cost. We can drill down and identify the specific resources and associated recommendations that, once resolved, will give us our single biggest increase in our advisor score, thus increasing our cost efficiency. We also recently enabled the ability to filter advisor score using resource tags. This feature is very helpful for ensuring your cost optimization efforts focus on prod resources rather than short-lived dev resources. We hope this demo was helpful as you continue your cost savings journey on Azure. To learn more about Advisor, please visit aka.ms/learn advisor. Back to you, Jimin.
Thanks, Sven-Erik. I see why our customers get excited about using our cost optimization tools and services. In addition to Advisor, Microsoft offers several other Azure services that inherently provide cost savings when you use them to run your workloads as well. First, Azure Spot Virtual Machines is an Azure service that gives you access to spare compute capacity at significant cost savings compared to pay-as-you-go rates. Azure Spot Virtual Machines are great for workloads that can handle interruptions like batch processing jobs, dev and test environments, big data applications, and select HPC scenarios. We continue to extend the capabilities that Spot VMs provide to broaden the range of applicable scenarios. Today, we're announcing a new virtual machine scale sets feature that enables Azure customers to mix standard VMs and Spot VMs in the same virtual machine scale set. Customers can set up policies that define the percentage allocation of standard versus Spot VMs. The number of standard VMs that need to be running at any given time, in addition to the percentage of Spot VMs, can also be defined. This new capability is currently in preview and is available with Virtual Machine Scale Set's flexible orchestration mode. We're also announcing the general availability of another new capability within Virtual Machine Scale Sets called Predictive Autoscale. You might be familiar with Autoscale, a capability that allows you to automatically add VM instances within your virtual machine scale sets, or scale out and scale in, or remove your VMs according to the load on your application. With Predictive Autoscale, you can leverage machine learning to anticipate when autoscaling is required, so that scale-out occurs exactly when needed. By anticipating an increase or decrease of your VM instances, you can stay ahead of demand fluctuations, effectively enhancing productivity, optimizing costs, and increasing business reliability. To complete this list of exciting announcements and services, I'd like to share a series of products we recommend to facilitate cost optimization for your end-to-end monitoring scenarios. Did you know that Azure Monitor, Microsoft Sentinel, and Microsoft Defender for Cloud tap into the same pool of data? When you use any of these services, logs from your resources are all ingested into the Azure Monitor data platform in a log analytics workspace. From there, depending upon the service you use, the data is used for monitoring, observability, or security scenarios. By repurposing your logs for different scenarios, you can unlock efficiencies just by using these services together. With Azure Monitor, Microsoft Sentinel, and Microsoft Defender for Cloud, your workloads will become more cost-efficient while empowering your IT, dev, and security ops teams to work better together. I've spoken about several existing Microsoft products and tools designed to help you optimize your costs and maximize your Azure investment. Now, we will transition back to Evelyn to lead a conversation with Honeywell and learn how they leveraged some of these products and offers to maximize Azure investments within their company.
Thank you, Jimin. What an exciting session, full of announcements and great information for our customers. But now it's about to get better. I'm excited to welcome Leigh Lenore, Cloud Director from Honeywell, to learn about how his company has approached the opportunities to maximize business value via cost optimization efforts on Azure. Hi, Nate. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, welcome. Thank you for having me. I really look forward to the session.
So let's start with how Honeywell thinks about optimizing their technology spend. What are the business drivers behind optimizing on Azure?
Of course, like all lines of business, we want to reinvest. We want to reduce the cost of cloud services, and we want to take those savings opportunities and we want to reinvest into cloud because our company is a cloud-first company. So we're growing our PaaS services as well as growing IaaS, but we're really trying to invest heavily in PaaS. And by reducing the cost of IaaS, we're able to reuse those dollars and invest into PaaS services.
That's great to hear. And tell me about how Azure Microsoft services have helped you and your team to identify those costs. What are the tools or resources or programs that you have used?
We're using the Azure Cloud Native tooling, such as cost management, billing, as well as the reserved instance program. So we're utilizing the built-in tools to look at the environment, to see where there's opportunities to change something from an on-demand service offering to 3-year reserved instance. Honeywell has chosen not to do 1-year reserved instance. We do on-demand and 3-year reserved instance. Our goal is to put 80% of the IaaS workloads under 3-year reserved, leaving 20% for flex and on-demand services as the business moves more to PaaS services.
Wow, that's a very interesting point that you make. And I want to pick on what you said about deciding the length of your reservation. How do you distribute workloads? I'm curious, how was your internal change management process to go through all of these conversations, all of these ideas, and reach this mature approach to allocate your resources?
That definitely was a change management process. About a year ago, the business themselves was doing cost management. And then we, Honeywell Corporate IT, took this over and enabled the business to concentrate on their software development and application build. And we apply all of those cost optimization at the Honeywell tenant level, thus trickling down savings to all lines of business instead of one specific line of business only achieving savings.
Wow, you must be their hero. You are that guy providing them with opportunity and finding savings so they can reinvest. Tell me more about that. Tell me about how these savings that your team and you found have enabled the growth and innovation at Honeywell.
Well, yeah, because we have the confidence with the building business now that we've been providing this service, they know that the tools and technology we're using to give the recommendation for reducing services or putting it on the reserved instance enables them to take the dollar that they would have been spending on that service to reinvest into Azure Data Factory or Databricks and continuously getting value out of Azure instead of utilizing just IaaS services.
Wow, what a fantastic example. Thank you for being here, Nate, and sharing your learnings. I am glad to hear how Honeywell has been able to continue to reinvest and grow their business, driving that innovation with the savings that your team have identified through these first-party tools and best practices. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
What a great conversation we just had with Nate. As you know, at Microsoft, our goal is to help you accelerate growth, increase performance, and drive innovation throughout your business. And you can do that while optimizing your cloud investment every step of the way. Here, some resources to help you maintain financial control throughout your cloud journey. Today, we covered how the principles of cloud economics can help you understand financial considerations of coming to the cloud and running cost-efficient workloads on Azure. These principles are incorporated into the Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure and the Microsoft Azure Well-Architected Framework. We also share several pricing benefits and offers designed to help you achieve cost savings in the cloud, like Azure Reserve Instances, Azure Hybrid Benefits, and Spot VMs. And exciting news about Azure Savings Plan for Compute. Lastly, let's discuss how Azure Migrate, Microsoft Cost Management, and Azure Advisor can help you optimize the cost of migrating and operating running workloads on Azure. We hope you found this session helpful and valuable as you consider where cost optimization falls within your own plans to successfully adopt the cloud, maximize your investment, and fuel your organization's growth and innovation. We want you to get started optimizing your cloud investments because we know that across the industry, cloud spends are steadily increasing. The Flexera 2022 State of the Cloud report found that, on average, current cloud spend was 13% over budget. More importantly, it found that organizations expect their cloud spend to increase 29% over the next 12 months. This trend means it's imperative that organizations find ways to rein in cloud spending by focusing on cost optimization. Depending on where you are in your cloud journey, this is how you can get started to ensure you are on the path to maximize value. If you're migrating to Azure, check out Azure Migrate to successfully plan and implement your move to the cloud. If you're already running workloads on Azure, get ready for Azure Savings Plan for Compute, or see if Azure Reserve Instances, Hybrid Benefit, or any other offers is the right one for your business need. Regardless of where you are in your cloud journey, we have the guidance, tools, and resources so you can do more with less and maximize business value on Azure. Thank you.